Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be for another movie review, and I promise you guys, this is going to be for a good movie. It's not for a bad movie. If you want to see me review a bad movie, watch my rant for men, women, and children. But this movie I'm about to review to you guys, I have wanted to see for a very, very long time. The second I saw the trailer for this movie, I wanted to see it. The second I saw who's directing this movie, who's starring in this movie, those kind of things, I really, really wanted to see this movie. I was very interested in it. And when it came out back in October, I really wanted to see it in theaters. I didn't really get a chance to, though. And then the movie that was in full quality on Solar Movie, and it got nominated for all these Golden Globes, got all this praise, and because I'm trying to figure out my top 10 list, I knew I had to watch this movie, and I finally watched this movie, and that movie is Gone Girl. And Gone Girl is a movie I have wanted to see. It's been one of the most anticipated movies probably the entire year. I've wanted to see this movie for a very long time, and I really was just so looking forward to this movie. And I am so happy I finally watched this, guys. I am so happy I finally watched it. And why am I so happy I finally watched it? Because Gone Girl is a masterpiece. Gone Girl is a masterpiece. I loved every second of this movie. It is one of the best thrillers I have seen in a very long time. It's one of the smartest thrillers I have seen in a very long time. It kept me completely engaged in the story the entire time. I was into the movie the entire time. I loved pretty much everything about the movie. There was nothing I didn't like, and I thought everything was just so amazing about this movie. And I love pretty much just everything about it. And basically, and I was surprised really by how much I loved it. But it was, and honestly, guys, I was this close to putting this movie as my number one movie of the year. That's how good this movie was. This close, but I didn't. And that's just because Boyhood, I was more, I don't know, but Boyhood is still my favorite movie of the year. This is my second favorite movie of the year by far. I absolutely loved it, and let's just get to the plot of Gone Girl. The plot of Gone Girl is one of the things that made me so intrigued into watching this movie, because the plot of Gone Girl basically focuses on, this man has come back to the Midwestern United States. He has returned home. He's been, gone for a while with his wife, and he finds that his wife has disappeared and he has no idea where she's gone and everything. And, it's on the news and everything. And everyone, and, basically everyone is, it's on the news and everything. And everyone's really upset because his wife, Amy, was the inspiration for her parents' popular, parents' popular Amazing Amy children's books. And, as time goes on, suspicion starts to arise that Nick murdered her, and basically the rest of the movie is basically us playing detective, trying to figure out, did he actually murder her? And in the flashbacks, we see how they met and things like that. And that's basically the plot of Gone Girl. I don't want to say anything else about this movie because really, guys, if you talk about anything else besides the plot of this movie, it really ruins the entire movie. If you find out any of the plots of this movie, it really ruins a lot of things. And I don't want to spoil what happens in this movie because it really is just fantastic. That's some of the stuff I loved about this movie. Now, let's get to, I don't even know where to begin with this movie, but let's get to the acting in this movie. The acting in this movie is just so good, and it carried the movie along so well, and I think the acting is by far some of the best of the year. Ben Affleck as Nick. Holy shit, he was amazing. Why was Ben Affleck not nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Actor? This is Ben Affleck's best performance. I was so into his character, and the thing about his character is you don't know, the whole movie we're trying to guess, did he actually do this? And the whole thing about the movie is that the central plot, the movie, the thing that makes a character so good is that the central plot is so interesting and so mysterious that the whole time you're like, is he telling the truth here? What's going on there? And honestly, guys, when you really come down to it, this movie is a TV show version of The Affair. The TV show The Affair. Now, there is no affair in this movie. Nick and Amy aren't having an affair, but the whole murder investigation thing, and what's interesting about this movie that I did not know is that it's actually a split storyline thing. When it's in the present, well, this is the first half of the movie at least. When it's in the present, it focuses on Nick, trying to figure out what happened to Amy and everything. And then we get to the past, it's Amy recalling everything from her point of view in this diary pretty much. And I thought Ben Affleck just portrayed his character very, very well. And the whole time, you don't know what to feel about his character. You don't know if his character really killed his wife. and they really portrayed it perfectly. I thought his character was great, and I mean, you can tell in the movie that, you can pretty much tell what he did or not. He seems like a nice person, but you're not sure if he's faking it, you're not sure if he's trying to cover up something, and I think Ben Affleck just portrayed that perfectly, and his character was just so well done. And his character just had so many layers to him. His character was a character who has a lot of anger issues, definitely. I mean, he's a character that definitely had a lot of anger issues. He's a character that holds back a lot of anger, and I think he was a very sadistic character, especially the first half of the movie, and he really portrayed that perfectly, and especially the second half of the movie, when you actually find out what's going on, his character becomes a lot more interesting. I definitely really enjoy that. But Rosamund Pike as Amy is the best performance in this movie. Okay, she gave the best performance in this movie by far, especially when you find out what's going on with her character. Her character was so well portrayed, and I loved everything about her character. She totally deserved that Golden Globe nomination that she got for Best Actress. Honestly, I want her to win it. I really do. She is that good in this movie, and she was just absolutely fantastic. I loved everything that they gave her, and her story was just so well done. The way she told their story of, how the relationship was told, and the way she told it was great, and when we saw in the flashbacks was just very well done. And everything she handled was just fantastic. And I thought her and Ben Affleck had perfect chemistry. You honestly felt like they really were husband and wife. That's really how great they were in this movie. And I thought they both just portrayed it in a fantastic way. And I thought they were just amazing in this movie. Now let's get to the one person that people have been complaining about. Neil Patrick Harris as Desi. Now, he's not in the movie as much as you think. He doesn't show up till the second half of the movie. He's in about, I'd say, like, maybe 20 minutes of this movie. I thought he did a pretty good job. A lot of people have complained about him, saying he was very miscast. Honestly, I thought he held his own. Sure, he's not as good as Ben Affleck or Rosamund Pike or some of the other people in this movie, but I still thought he did a very good job. He held his own. His character is a very well-done character because he's Amy's ex-boyfriend, and you can tell right away there's something definitely off about him. You don't know what he's gonna do with her. When you find out why he's there in the movie, it's very well done. It's very well done. The first scene we see is Nick going to ask him, like, some questions, and he's not giving many questions, so right away makes his character very interesting, and I think Neil Patrick Harris portrayed that very, very well. He doesn't get to portray a straight man a lot. I mean, the last time he did that was Barney Stinson on How I Met Your Mother, so I think he did a pretty good job in this. He was pretty creepy, and I will admit, there were quite a few scenes that had me on the edge of my seat with his character. It was very well done, definitely. I thought he did a very good job. But Tyler Perry as Tanner Bolt was probably the most surprising person in this movie for me. I didn't know how Tyler Perry was going to be, and he was fantastic in this movie. Really, I want to see Tyler Perry do more serious roles like this because he did a very good job. He is basically the person that's trying to show that Nick is innocent, that he didn't kill his wife and things like that, and I thought his character was very well done. He actually had some funny scenes in the movie. The bonding between him and Nick was very well done. The way his character was just, everything about his character. I was surprised by how good of an actor Tyler Perry really is, and when you give him serious stuff, he works really well, and I definitely want to see him do more of these kind of roles, unless the Madea kind of stuff, because he's really good in these kind of roles, and he's a very good actor if you place him in the right movie. So I definitely thought he did a very good job in this, and I loved Tyler Perry. I thought he was great in this movie. Definitely. Also, this movie also made me realize, by the way, that Ben Affleck is by far one of the best actors working today. I don't care. Ben Affleck, one of the best actors working today. He is just fantastic. He's one of the best actors working today. Carrie Coon plays Margot, Nick's twin sister, and she was actually very funny a lot of times. A lot of times in the movie, she kind of cracked a few jokes. I thought she was very good in the movie. She's not in the movie as much as some of the other characters in this movie, but I thought her character was very well done. By the way, Tyler Perry's character doesn't show up till the second half of this movie, but I thought Carrie Coon did a very good job, definitely. I thought she was very good. Also, the detectives, Kim Dickens as Detective Rhonda, and Patrick Fugit as James Gilpin, as Officer James Gilpin. They were both very good. Thought they were both well casted. And the last person I want to talk about is Casey Wilson as Noelle, who is Nick and Amy's neighbor. Fantastic. That's all I'm going to say. She was very good, and I thought she did a very good job. Now, the directing to this movie. We need to give some applause for David Fincher here. David Fincher is a master at thriller, okay? I don't care. David Fincher, if you want to write a thriller, David Fincher is the best person to write thrillers. He knows how to keep you on the edge of your seat. He knows how to add suspense. He knows how to do that stuff. The tone for this movie is set perfectly within the first scene of this movie. The first scene of this movie, I was already loving it. The first scene is Nick, like, talking about what he wanted to do to his wife, and it made me so intrigued, and I think David Fincher just portrayed everything perfectly, and the suspense was portrayed perfectly, and it constantly, I mean, this movie constantly has you guessing. The movie constantly makes you think, okay, what is going on here? What's the significance of that scene? Every single character in this movie is very important. I'm going to say that right now. Even people like the TV reporters and the search volunteers, Amy's parents, they're all very important in this movie because they leave you closer and closer. Also, Scoot McNairy was in this movie very briefly, but I thought he did a very good job as well. But every single character leads you closer and closer and closer to, you know, what's actually going on here. And I think that's very well done that David Fincher portrayed that way. And the way he decided to divide the movie, honestly, in my opinion, the movie is in 2 acts, and I think he divided it perfectly. And I thought he just did a fantastic job directing. He better get nominated for Best Director. Some of the best directing I have seen all year. Just amazing, amazing directing from David Fincher. One of the best directors working today. The screenplay, as I said, is fantastic. This movie has the best screenplay of the year, hands down. I do not count Boyhood as a screenplay because of how realistic it was. This is the best screenplay of the entire year. I was so into this movie. I didn't skip anything. I wasn't bored by it by any means. I was so into everything that was going on. The whole movie kept me in suspense, and I think the screenplay was just perfect because of that, and I love that. It was also based on a book, but I heard the movie doesn't actually follow the book as much, which I kind of like because it makes you more suspenseful. The score to this movie is amazing. It's a very eerie, very creepy, perfect what it needs to be. It's exactly what it needs to be, and I thought the score was fantastic. The cinematography to this movie is so good. I love the cinematography. Some of the best cinematography of the year. It's David Fincher. What do you expect? And the editing. Let's talk about the editing. This movie is 149 minutes. It's almost 150 minutes. But it moved by like that. And it never, ever felt long. Never did this movie feel long. I was surprised by how short I finished this movie. Now, this movie did take me a little bit of time because I didn't have as much time as I wanted to, but every time I watch this movie, I'm like, wow, I'm getting closer and closer to the end of this movie. And I was surprised by how closer and closer I was getting to it. And I think the editing was fantastic because I definitely really loved the editing of this movie. Also, the costume design was very good. And now let's get to major spoilers for Gone Girl. If you have not seen Gone Girl, do not watch the rest of this review, okay? If you want to see this movie, I'm going to spoil huge spoilers. That's why it says Gone Girl movie review with major spoilers, because when I say the spoilers in this movie are major, they are major. They ruin the entire movie, they change your thoughts on the movie, and it ruins the entire movie. If you guys find out what happens in this movie, I'm sorry, but you ruin the entire movie for yourself. But I also want to talk about the central message of this movie, which I also really like. First of all, before I get to this, let's talk about the central message of this movie. Basically, the central message of this movie, which I really like, is really think twice about what you hear in the news. I mean, what you hear in the news is not necessarily the truth. You never know what the source of that is. You never know what impact that had on people. You never know if people are lying, and I think the movie really explores that very well. I don't think a lot of movies do that. I don't think a lot of movies really shows how the news makes up a lot of stuff and how people sometimes lie about things. And this movie portrays that very well. It also portrays the idea of a broken marriage very well. It also portrays the idea of separation, portrays the idea of infidelity very well, portrays all that stuff very well. But now let's get to the major spoilers, and I'm going to spoil the biggest twist in this movie. So if you guys have not seen this movie, just don't watch the rest of this review. Okay. So, of course, we find out that Nick and Amy had a very bad marriage, and basically, you know, they both lost their jobs and everything. They moved from New York City to Missouri. And, of course, there was that one time when basically Nick and Amy had that whole fight over when Amy found out that Nick was in an affair, basically, you know, when she found that out that he was doing that, and she was very upset with him because of that. And he basically struck her, and she became terrified of him and everything. And basically she wrote this diary talking about how she was, you know, trying to basically frame him, and she was the one that basically got everyone to think that that he killed her. She's the one that did it. And I think that plot changed the entire movie, because now we started to focus on Amy more, and we started to care more about her character, especially when we see that now she's hiding out and she's trying to get away from Nick because she's basically just scared of him. And she's changed her appearance. She had like that whole accent and everything. She's hiding a distant campground and everything. And when that all happened, I just thought that was very well done, because it changed my entire thoughts in the movie and really changed everything about the movie. Because when Nick finds out what happened, he's like, okay, where is she? Where can I find her? Because he realizes that, oh, she's not dead. He realizes that. So, and then of course we had that great plot where she goes with Desi. And then that's when the movie just got insane. When she went with Desi, that's when it got crazy. Of course, Nick goes on that TV basically, and talks to, about how he apologized for his failures as a husband, and basically trying to get her, basically trying to find her so he will finally find her. He says everything that she has always wanted him to say, basically, and that's why he did that. So he swears he's not murdered and everything. And it kind of, improved his public image and everything. But then, of course, while Amy is with Desi just wants to get back into that relationship. That's what he wants. He thinks that she's going to get those feelings back. And, of course, Amy decides to make it look like he raped her and tried to kill her. And basically kills Desi while they're having sex. I freaked out when that happened. That is the most graphic scene I have seen this year. The scene where they're having sex and she stabs him and the blood of his neck pours all over her. I freaked out. I'm like, this is extremely graphic. I was surprised by how graphic that scene was, and I'm very happy by how realistic that was portrayed. That was amazingly done in my opinion. And I thought his death just really changed the entire movie for me, definitely. I mean, it really changed everything, because then she tries to make that seem like, she tries to make people feel bad for her and everything, and they do feel bad for her, and she says that, the man that was watching her pleading for a return was the man she wants, and, basically she tells Nick, and I was happy she told Nick the truth, because there's part of me that's like, is she actually gonna tell Nick the truth here? Like, what's gonna happen? But, of course, she tells him the truth, and he's freaking out about it, understandably, and, she says that the man she watched pleading for a return was the man she wants him to come again. And basically, I honestly thought this movie was gonna end with Nick trying to get Amy arrested or something, because she's crazy. I mean, that's what this movie shows, that this girl is crazy. She's nuts. She's nuts. She tries to frame everyone. She tries to make herself look like the good person, and she's extremely nuts. And I like that the movie really shows that, because again, the beginning of this movie makes you try to think that Nick killed Amy, when in reality, Amy just framed Nick and is just crazy. She's a nutcase. So, of course, the end of the movie, Nick's planning on leaving Amy and expose her lies, basically. But then Amy reveals that she's pregnant. And when she said that, I'm like, I don't know if I believe her. But then, of course, she used Nick's sperm to get pregnant. And then the movie ends with basically them getting pregnant and basically thinking, them going on national TV talking about how they're expecting a baby and they're not really sure where their marriage is going to go there. And I like that the movie ends that way, because it's kind of like, I mean, definitely there's going to be a lot going on with them now. They're never going to be the same, because now Nick knows that Amy didn't trust him and that she was scared of him. And now he knows that their marriage is never really going to be the same. And it honestly is very sad, but it happens to people. I mean, and I like the movie really portrayed that way, because again, it really, the news was completely wrong with Nick. They didn't see him as who he really was. They didn't see him as a guy who just had a lot of anger problems. They saw him as a monster, basically, and I like that they really portrayed that very well in the movie, and the way the movie ended was just absolutely fantastic, and the twist I never saw coming. The twist of Amy framing Nick, I never saw coming. And I love that the movie did that, because the movie's in no way predictable. And when a movie can shock me, it's very hard for a movie to legitimately shock me and not have me, guess the ending. But this movie shocked me so much. Especially after she killed Desi. I did not expect his character to die. I didn't expect anyone to die in this movie. I didn't think they were going to take the movie that far. But they did, and I love that. And honestly, this is my favorite David Fincher movie since Fight Club and Seven. This is what you love about David Fincher, are those reveals, are the twists that change the entire movie. And he did that perfectly in this movie. Is it the best twist he's ever done? No, but it is still a fantastic movie, and I think he just did a fantastic job with everything in this movie, and the way it was portrayed was just absolutely fantastic. And that's really all I'm going to say about Gone Girl. Overall, guys, I love this movie to death. I think this is a fantastic movie. If you guys have not seen Gone Girl, watch it right now. I don't care what you guys are doing. Watch Gone Girl right now. You will not be disappointed. It is the second best movie of the entire year. I love it so much. It made me guess the entire time. It made me have certain feelings about characters the entire time. It changed my opinion of characters. It changed the way I looked at certain actors. It changed the way I look at David Fincher. It just changed a lot of things, definitely. And if Rosamund Pike does not win that Best Actress nomination, then I'm going to be pretty upset. I mean, Julianne Moore, I could see her winning, but Rosamund Pike and Julianne Moore, either of them need to win because they're absolutely fantastic. And also, I didn't really know a lot about Rosamund Pike, but she's a fantastic actress, and I definitely want to see what she does next. So overall, guys, this movie's an absolute masterpiece. I loved everything about Gone Girl. I loved the story. I loved the idea of it. I loved everything about this movie, and I love that the central message the movie was trying to show, and I definitely really enjoy that. I love that, definitely. And the other thing the movie trying to show is the way people perceive each other. Think about it. The movie portrays how people see each other very well, because we see how the detectives, portray Nick. We see how the detectives portray Amy. We see what the world thinks of Amy. We see what the world thinks of Nick. We see what Nick's sister thinks of him. We see what Amy's, we see what Nick's sister thinks of Amy. We see all that, and I love that they did that because that's something that's very important when you're doing a movie like this, and the way they shot it was just fantastic, and I loved everything about this movie. Must see Gone Girl now. It's amazing. It's a masterpiece, and I love it. But that's basically my review of Gone Girl. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please watch this movie now. It is fantastic. I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for another Christmas movie review. If you guys know us on Letterboxd, I've already reviewed all of them. That's just because I had some time. I don't know what I was doing, but I had so much time that I ended up reviewing all of them. But I haven't done my YouTube reviews for them yet, so I will do that, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Okay, bye.